Right. So why people even talk like he the best at? He didn't even fight at 135 yet.
Right.
He didn't even. He didn't even have power at 126, 30, or none of that.
He is good.
Okay. How can you? All that's just okay.
In him and Teofimo Lopez if they fight.
If they fight, I think Shakur wins. I think Shakur wins.
Teofimo Lopez, we've seen him at his best, but he typically brings out his best characteristics when he's back against the wall and he's counted out. And he's going to be counted out in this fight. By and large, people are going to side with Shakur in this fight to win the fight because he's the more consistent fighter.
Boxing insiders were sharply divided ahead of Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez, but Gervonta "Tank" Davis didn't hide his irritation when Stevenson's name came up. Davis openly questioned why fans and media treat Shakur like a finished champion before he's truly proven himself at the sport's highest level. He argued that reputation and hype mean nothing once elite fighters step into the ring, stressing that real respect is only earned after being tested, broken down, and pushed by top-level opposition under real fight night pressure.
Because Teofimo is at his most dangerous when he's counted out. And this is going to be one of those fights where he's going to be counted out. Because Shakur is looked at by and large as the guy who can dominate boxing in this generation, right? It's just a matter of him getting the opportunity. I myself have felt that he's the guy who could and should be dominating boxing if he gets the right matchups. But bro, this is one of the rare matchups, if not maybe the only matchup, where I feel like it's a big threat here to Shakur. And then they would all come undone only because of this reason. Teofimo Lopez, we've seen him at his best, but he typically brings out his best characteristics when he's back against the wall and he's counted out. And he's going to be counted out in this fight. By and large, people are going to side with Shakur in this fight to win the fight because he's the more consistent fighter, he's the more class fighter overall, and he's just so damn good. But Teofimo has a way, when you're so damn good and he knows you're so damn good and everybody feels like you're gonna beat him, there's just something about Teofimo, man. He brings out a different level and somehow supersedes that guy who is that damn good. I've seen it. We've seen it already. I'm not saying anything that anybody else hasn't already seen, okay? I'm just stipulating it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know who wins this fight. Because again, your better head says Shakur, but then you think about, man, Teofimo, again,
he's got the X factor.
He's got the
talent to
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
Shakur is extremely talented and could be the face of boxing as far as being that good and being that dominant, even though no matter how good you are. But this is one of the rare fights where you can get beat. And I don't ever want to hear any of you tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another. If Shakur Stevenson loses this fight, I don't ever want to hear any of you saying, oh, well, what about Shakur now? Tank this, tank that. Tank fights the guy that delivers my pizza. He fights the guys in the back that are doing the production. He fights the truck driver. I don't want to hear, because he would never.
Pauli Malignaggi and Chris Algieri weighed in on the looming showdown, breaking down both fighters' strengths while also addressing how public perception has shaped expectations. Pauli noted that Teofimo Lopez often draws criticism and is frequently underestimated, largely because Shakur Stevenson commands more attention, a bigger fan base, and greater visibility in the sport. As a result, many fans naturally lean towards Stevenson, assuming he holds the clear advantage. However, Pauli stressed that Fight Night is where reputations are truly tested, predicting that Lopez could rise above the doubt and seize the moment. According to him, this bout represents Lopez's chance to announce himself on the global stage, proving his skill, toughness, and ability to compete at the highest level, and possibly even defeat Stevenson in.
5 contemporaries have a lot to say these days. Shakur Stevenson, well, of course he's now 135 after all that stuff, and then Devin Haney.
Right, so why people even talk like he the best at, he didn't even fight at 135 yet.
Right.
He didn't even have power at 126, 30, or none of that.
He is good.
Okay. How can you, all that's just okay. How can you stop people that can actually hit? No matter all that boxing, you going to get hit.
Lamont Roach views the matchup with firm confidence in Shakur Stevenson's complete control inside the ring. From Roach's perspective, this isn't a fight filled with chaos or unpredictability, but one defined by structure, rhythm, and command. He sees Stevenson as a fighter who dictates the pace from the opening seconds, using distance, timing, and positioning to force opponents into an uncomfortable tempo. Roach believes that if the two were to meet, Stevenson's ability to read movement and shut down offensive patterns would drain much of Teofimo Lopez's explosiveness. In his eyes, the bout wouldn't turn into a war, but rather a clear demonstration of how precision and discipline can neutralize raw aggression, with Stevenson's technical mastery preventing the fight from ever becoming truly competitive as Lopez struggles to find consistent openings or momentum.
Okay, cool.
But and doing that, and so I was always going to fight this year. He knew that too. I was always going to fight this year. It was going to be either like a tune-up or something before I fought him, if we were to get that together.
So who do you think wins that fight between him and Teofimo Lopez if they fight?
If they fight, I think Shakur wins. I think Shakur wins. And I don't think it's going to be like a super tough fight either. I think he just, his IQ will frustrate him. And,
wow. Don't you think Teo has also good ring IQ and also is slick, fast?
I think so, but when you look at Teo's performances against guys that are just pure boxers, it's just like he almost lost to Sandor Martin. Some people thought he lost to Sandor Martin. Who else?
He did beat Loma, who's arguably at the time considered one of the best in the world.
He did, and that was a hell of a performance too. A hell of a performance too. So yeah, I mean, I think he's hit or miss. You got to think he got stuff. He a little cuckoo too. Like he has like a little mental lapses every once in a while. Look at the Kambosos fight. Like that's a fight that people would never expect Kambosos to win, and he won a grueling match against him as well. So I just I don't know. I don't think he can get it done against Shakur when it comes to like because it's going to be just a skill match. I don't think he's going to try to rough.
Roy Jones Jr. frames the matchup through the lens of preparation and execution rather than reputation or hype. He warns that Teofimo Lopez cannot afford even brief lapses in focus against a fighter like Shakur Stevenson. Jones explains that Stevenson thrives when opponents hesitate or drift out of structure, immediately punishing mistakes with sharp counters and superior positioning. According to Jones, if Lopez enters the fight without his sharpest instincts and disciplined approach, Stevenson will slowly break him down through precision, movement, and control. While Jones acknowledges Lopez's natural talent, he makes it clear that talent alone won't be enough. Against a calculated fighter like Stevenson, every round counts. His warning underscores that Stevenson builds advantages patiently, and once the momentum shifts, turning the fight back around becomes incredibly difficult.
How does Shakur beat Teo and vice versa? Stylistically, how does Teo beat Shakur?
Stylistically, Teo got to go in and go for broke. He got to go gamble. He got to take some, get some, and that's just the only way to win. If he stays outside of boxes, Shakur gonna pick him apart. Shakur's a polished boxer with some of the best feet in the game right now, and he's a defensive-minded fighter, which is very smart. It's hard to hit him. He makes you gamble to hit him, and he's gonna be a tough one to deal with. But if Teofimo is willing to gamble to beat him, and Teofimo...
Rolando "Rolly" Romero strikes a different tone by calling the matchup a true 50-50th fight. He bases that view on the belief that both Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez have already reached championship level and proven themselves against elite competition. According to Romero, neither man enters the bout as an underdog in terms of raw ability. Instead, he sees a clash of contrasting styles that could tilt the fight in either direction depending on who establishes their game plan first. Romero's take emphasizes unpredictability, suggesting that timing, confidence, and in-fight decision-making may decide the outcome rather than any clear technical gap. By recognizing both fighters as world-class, he frames the bout as one where adjustments during the fight could matter more than pre-fight expectations.
Yeah. I think it's a great fight. You'll really see, because at the end of it, they're both Olympians. They're both multi-division world champions. Teo is an incredible fighter, and Shakur is an incredible fighter. Shakur has a really high blocking IQ and a very...
Gary Antoine Russell Jr. focuses on a specific version of Teofimo Lopez, rather than the fighter in general. He points to Lopez's performance against Vasily Lomachenko as the blueprint for success. Russell explains that when Lopez fully commits to pressure while staying composed, he becomes a dangerous opponent for anyone in the division. In that version, Lopez controls the center of the ring, forces exchanges on his own terms, and limits his opponent's ability to reset. Russell believes that if Lopez brings the same intensity and confidence, he can disrupt Shakur Stevenson's rhythm and prevent him from settling into a defensive groove. This assessment doesn't dismiss Stevenson's skill, but highlights that Lopez's best performances prove he can rise to elite challenges when he is mentally locked in.
It's 50-50. You know, in order for you to participate in this sport, you got to have a high level of confidence. I feel like both of them has a high level of confidence. Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson, but styles make fights. Naturally, I think Teofimo Lopez is stronger than Shakur. Naturally, I think he has more athleticism than Shakur. And he got a good IQ on the sport itself. But Shakur, I feel like he's a more smarter fighter. He's a more technical fighter. You know, I'm not saying that he's a square or he's just a textbook fighter, but he's seasoned, he's poised. I feel like mentally he's more mature. Like, he don't go outside of the boundaries on taking risks. So a lot of times you will see him fight somebody that could be stiff competition, and it'll wind up being a born fight to a degree. You know, that's why everybody was criticizing him for, oh, he's a born fighter. He's a careful fighter. And I feel like with Teofimo Lopez, he's going to be a careful fighter. Now, just because he's a careful fighter doesn't mean that he isn't punctual with how he do things. I think Shakur, he got a lot of this arsenal that he can use to make him be victorious, as well as Teofimo Lopez. You know what I mean? So it's a 50-50 fight, and it depends on what fighters show up the night of the fight. Right. You know? But if I had to give you my whole honest truth, if Teofimo Lopez show up and is ready to fight just like how he fought Lomachenko.
Several analysts reduce the matchup to a contrast of physical attributes. They point out that Teofimo Lopez carries slightly more raw strength, which could play a role in exchanges and along the ropes. Shakur Stevenson, meanwhile, is praised for his speed, particularly in his footwork and precise hand placement. Analysts argue that this balance creates an evenly matched contest, as each fighter possesses tools capable of neutralizing the other. Strength can slow movement and impose pressure, while speed can cancel power by limiting clean contact. This dynamic transforms the fight into a strategic chess match rather than a simple brawl, with control of the tempo hinging on which fighter successfully asserts his physical advantage.
Very good offensive fighter. The difference between the two, for me, I think that Teofimo might be a little bit stronger of the two. But, you know, speed can sometimes nullify power.
Right. It depends on if you can use your speed to get you from round to round, as opposed...
Teddy Atlas pushes back against the criticism that has followed both Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez over the years. He notes that while people were quick to accuse them of avoiding top-level opponents, that narrative no longer holds. According to Atlas, both fighters are now stepping into demanding matchups that few expected them to take, and that alone deserves respect. While he acknowledges that some may doubt whether their styles will produce a flashy or explosive fight, Atlas stresses that entertainment doesn't require chaos. What this bout guarantees is a high-level display of skill and intelligence. He highlights Stevenson's recent performances, noting how he blended aggression with elusiveness, controlled space, fought effectively on the inside, and punished mistakes both up close and at range. For Atlas, this matchup represents the essence of the sweet science, showcasing mastery rather than mere spectacle.
Mode certain spot, he's avoiding this guy, he's avoiding that guy. You can't take those shots at these two guys. Definitely can't now. They are stepping up, and they are taking fights that a lot of people are probably surprised they took. Now, a lot of people will say style-wise, Teddy, style-wise, is this going to be a great fight? I don't know if it will. I mean, style-wise, I could see you having a little reservations, you know, whether or not these guys will make for dynamite, they will make, you know, for electricity. I don't know if they will, but I tell you what they will make for. Two skillful fighters, two talented fighters, you know, two fighters that are at a high skill level that will compete in the sweet science. I mean, Shakur showed aggression in his last fight against Cepeda, you know, being elusive while being aggressive. You know, walking them down, fighting on the inside, you know, boxing well, still being able to counter, still being able to control space, but also be able to go into tight quarters and not be afraid to show that he's good on the inside too, that he can make you miss and make you pay outside and inside. Shakur showed that. That was great. That was great, and people applaud him. I applaud him. We were sitting there ringside. I was sitting there actually with your sister, ringside, watching that fight. And it was a terrific performance. Shakur showing that dimension, showing that attitude, showing that competitiveness, showing that dog like people like to show or like to talk.
Timothy Bradley brings nuance by warning against underestimating Teofimo Lopez. He stresses that, despite Shakur Stevenson's technical edge, this is far from an easy fight. Bradley highlights Lopez's unpredictability and confidence, traits capable of unsettling even the most disciplined opponents. He describes Lopez as highly autonomous in the ring, able to make spontaneous decisions that can dramatically shift the flow of a bout. This independence makes him particularly dangerous, as he doesn't rely solely on instructions or established patterns. For Stevenson, Bradley notes, this demands constant awareness and adaptability, emphasizing that technical fundamentals alone won't be enough. He must be ready for moments when Lopez breaks convention and forces him out of rhythm.
It ain't gonna be an easy fight, nope. After studying freaking Lopez yesterday, man, look, that athleticism that he got, that speed that he got, the boy is a what's the name I'm looking for? What can I say? He's autonomous. That's the word I'm looking for. He's an autonomous fighter. Okay? What does that mean, autonomous fighter, Tim? Shakur is too. Just like Floyd is. Just like Crawford is. Just like Inoue is. You know, young fighters want to get to that point in their career where they become autonomous fighters. Okay? Where you don't need no damn instructions. You don't need no guidance. You know how to figure it out. Your fundamentals are so damn sound that shoot, you got skills now built on top of those fundamentals. Now it's second nature for you. You know what I'm saying? You didn't see the same patterns and rhythms and styles and so on and so forth that it's second nature. It's nothing for you. These guys can operate without any damn instructions, without being told what to do. That's how great these dudes are. Or I should say good they are. They still got to prove they great, right? But, you know, look, the thing that surprised me about Teo last night after watching him, man, is that his speed and quickness and how fast he's able to strike. Look, I'm going to tell you where he going. Because I watched a little bit of Shakur.
Analyst Mike Henry frames Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson as the kind of matchup that brings out the very best in Lopez. He explains that Lopez thrives against elite competition, with his ceiling often defined by the quality of the opponent in front of him. While Lopez has suffered setbacks in the past, Henry argues that those defeats don't define his limits. This fight could very well showcase the strongest, most complete version of him yet. Turning to Stevenson, Henry highlights his undefeated record and remarkable consistency, noting that both fighters are the same age and in the prime of their athletic careers. On paper, their physical dimensions are similar, which amplifies both the risk and intrigue. For Henry, this bout is dangerous for both men, as it tests skill, adaptability, and mental fortitude at the highest level.
Needs opponents like Shakur Stevenson because they are elite fighters. He needs that to bring out the very best in him. I just can't see how it's possible that whilst Teofimo, we've seen a ceiling with him in terms of he's been beaten by certain opponents, we know that he can lose in the ring, but I don't know if that's a genuine ceiling, because I think that his ceiling is actually one of the most changeable in boxing based on who's in front of him. And so actually, I think there's a very, very good chance we're going to see the best possible version of Teofimo Lopez in the ring against Shakur Stevenson. But we should talk about Shakur Stevenson before we get into the nuts and bolts of the fight, what it might look like, and why it's so risky for both men. Now, Shakur Stevenson is currently undefeated. He's 24-0 with 11 KOs. He turned pro back in 2017. He's the same age as Teofimo Lopez at 28 years old, both men in their athletic primes. He's 5'8". I mean, these are on paper heights, so potentially a little bit shorter. He could even be a bit taller than Teofimo Lopez. I really need to see them next to each other to make that assessment. No lifts in the shoes, all that stuff. but around the same size is the most important thing. The difference though with Shakur Stevenson is he's actually a 3-weight division world champion, and he started a division lower than Teofimo Lopez, meaning naturally it would appear that he's slightly the smaller man. Although that doesn't necessarily mean they're now not the same size. He could easily have filled out to be roughly the same size as Teofimo Lopez is on the night in the ring. Now for me, I'm going to jump back to 2021 to first start talking about Shakur Stevenson, when he managed to get a win over Jamel Herring. Again, he'd had significant wins before this fight, but it was the first one where I really tuned into his career. Notable wins had already come against Joet Gonzalez, Jeremiah Nakathila, but no one that was really a household name. Maybe Joet Gonzalez. No giant names. Jamel Herring was the first one where I was like, I know who Jamel Herring is. He beat Carl Frampton. He beat Lamont Roach. This is a very, very decent operator. And what can I say? I mean, Shakur Stevenson just absolutely dominated him and TKO'd him in the 10th round of their fight. But this was a really, really landmark standout performance from Shakur Stevenson. The talent was there for all to see. Everybody